today I'm joined by my friend, Courtney Ettus, and she is Chief Marketing Officer of REsimplifi. She's built a strong reputation at the intersection of brand, growth, and commercial real estate. Today, we want to talk a bit about storytelling, leadership, and how smart companies build trust in a crowded market. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and happy to be doing this with you. So
I know. We first met online and then eventually met in person. And then, like, it just, when I met you, I felt like we'd already known each other for years. Like,
right?
this immediate connection,
Yeah.
ability, the
Yeah.
person.
And I think part of that is like being yourself. I know we'll talk about this in a little bit, but being yourself online and really sort of owning who you are. And that's what makes the best brand, and that's what makes the best platform. So
Well, one thing that my friend, Aviva's talked about this and the Lee Beckers talked about this is when you are yourself online, it's also a great filtering tool for like brokers and businesses. It's like, I may not be like the best fit for everyone. People will see and I'm like, I don't really like her personality. So it's great.
it is. It's a great leading indicator, and I think by being your own authentic self online and just doing you might be polarizing, and also that's okay because then there are no expectations, right? We talk a lot about in business expectations breed contempt. Like I'm going to go in, I'm going to work with this person, I'm going to change them, change who they are. I'm going to show them that my way is better. Guess what? They already think their way is better. So instead of having the expectation that you're going to change the situation, change the way the deal's done, get to know the players and understand how to work with them and play with them, as opposed to thinking that you can come in and just, wave a wand and everything will go the way you want it to.
Why do some firms stay forgettable even though they do good work?
I love that question. I mean, I truly believe a brand is a personality. So there's a famous saying, and I don't know who said it, so forgive me for whomever I'm quoting. It wasn't me, but it's brilliant, which is marketing is a part of brand. Brand is not a part of marketing. And so, right? And by the way, that's personal, that's company, that's everything.
Right.
So who you are, how you encapsulate yourself, what you stand for is really important because that's what people relate to. And you know this, but I started my career in fashion in the 90s. And I worked at Kenneth Cole and I was in the marketing department. And one of the things we said was everybody wears a pair of black pants. Why should they buy a pair of ours? So this is New York in the 90s, but it's true, right? Like all of these different businesses and companies can do functionally the same thing. Certain ones have a different take. They might be more aggressive. They might be more friendly. They might be, friendlier to work with. They might be a boiler room and people are attracted to that. They might be super buttoned up and some people are more comfortable in that. It's the same reason why people choose to live where they live and the restaurants they choose to go to. It's all about how the experience makes you feel.
Yes.
And for the brands that don't care about that, and when I say brands, I mean brokerage.
Yeah.
The brands that don't care about that are gonna be the ones that are just not memorable and that people don't remember in the end. And, I think the way that, and then also the people they employ. I mean, I know you're at Cushwake, and I know our dear friend Ken Ashley is also at Cushwake, and like two of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And so that's how I associate, right?
Yeah.
Cushwake in a lot of ways because I know you guys the best. And that to me is like a friendly, comfortable place to be with some of the smartest people that I know. And I mean, that's important to me, right? Like smart is great, smart and unfriendly. Smart and can't deal with me, which is a lot of personality. Now, like you just have to kind of go there and let it and figure it out. I mean, I like eating steak. I don't like steakhouses where I am forced to dress up. And I live in LA, right? I'm in Atlanta right now, and we were having a conversation last night about living in LA. And they're like, it's a foreign land. I'm like, it's actually not a foreign land, but the dinner that we went to last night at a steakhouse, as one does in Atlanta, was, I got dressed up. If I were in LA, I could go anywhere in basically sandals and jeans and a tank top, and nobody would look at me twice. So these are all reasons for feeling comfortable somewhere and for promoting how you feel both visually and intellectually to
Mhm.
people that need your services.
How do you help the companies clarify what they actually stand for?
It's really interesting. I mean, I really start with the founder's story. The reason why somebody, or if not a founder for larger organizations, because I've done marketing for Fortune 100 companies also, like, what is important to them? What do they stand for? What makes them get up every day? Not a paycheck, not a bank account. Like, what service or opportunity do they want to drive and bring to other people? And there are certain people who wanna be famous, and so that's a direction, right? And you can go down that path of why do you wanna be famous? What's important to you? There are people on the famous path that think that wanna be heard because they think their ideas deserve to be heard. There are others that just wanna be in the spotlight. Then there are people who started companies because they saw an opportunity in the market. They wanna differentiate. They truly wanna make things easier. There are other people that have started companies because there is a Goliath and they want to be the David to the Goliath. There's a lot of reasons, but there's always like a kernel, a grain of ethos involved, in terms of how people have thought about the reasons behind either joining the company if it's a larger company or starting the company if it's a smaller company. And, you know, uh, um, Henry, as I was saying, started REsimplifi. He started it as a SaaS company. We have since shifted into a data and technology company, for a lot of reasons, and because we provide data. But I was talking to him about it in December before he joined, and I said, tell me a little bit. And he said, he's formerly a broker, reformed broker, as he likes to say. Um, and he started saying he saw this opportunity, which is what every founder says. And he kept at it.
True.
It's true. Yeah. I saw an opportunity. Of course you did. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. But I think what's interesting is that he started with associations and civic organizations, economic development, because his passion is truth in data, right? And empirically pure, true, verified data that he wasn't getting when he was on the other side. And so that was his real truth. And then the way he went about building the business was these, the guys that I work with are Southern gentlemen. They call me ma'am. It drives me crazy. Crazy. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm like, okay, I'm not old enough to even like, am old enough to be their mothers, but I pretend like I'm not. And, I'd never, and somebody said to me, what's it like being in Atlanta? And I said, I never carry a suitcase. It's just, they're like, chivalry is not dead. And they do it because that's how they were raised. And Henry is the same way. And we were talking about brand today and because we're here for a quarterly meeting. And I said, what I love the most about this team and the opportunity for the brand is to lean in to y'all.
Talk about the importance of collaboration and how that played a part in your growth.
Yeah, I fashion's a different beast. It is a very diverse community. So, you look around, you see a lot of people that look like you, and then a ton of people that don't look like you. But it is not. It's neither corporate America nor is it brokerage. And I was in corporate America for 10 years at these global agencies, and often, oftentimes found myself as the only woman in the room. And I was like 35 and the only woman in the room. And first it was intimidating, and then it occurred to me having a conversation with my global CEO, who's a great guy, and he's like, I didn't want you here, you wouldn't be here. And I was like, okay, and those words, and I repeated them to this team today. Like, if you are in the room, you are meant to be in the room. So act like you should be in the room.